I've been shooting professional basketball for over 7 years now, so that's a lot of basketball games. These are the 10 tips, the 10 tricks that I have if you wanted to do the same. We are 2Times Creative. This is a platform designed to help you dominate content creation while we are on the path to doing so ourselves. Michael, basketball is my thing, basketball is your
forte.
thing. Basketball is our forte, and I feel like we've been doing it for a very long time, so I think we are well suited to talk about some tips.
I think this is a great point of discussion because if we haven't learned anything, particularly you, from all your time shooting basketball, then
Got nothing.
yeah, if nothing's going on in that head of yours after so many years, well, something's wrong. But I'm looking forward to the 10 tips because they're going to be very useful for. I haven't looked at them, but I think they'll be very useful for not only basketball but every sport, I assume.
That's true. And it's probably just like shooting, sport in general, or shooting in general. But the good thing about it is because these 10 things are all things we've discussed over our years shooting it. Because they're just like genuine thoughts, they're genuine assumptions at first, and then they turn into like discussion topics. It's kind of cool that we're covering them now because they're things that we've kind of always talked about.
Yeah, well, it's all in
all in
one package of everything that we've probably alluded to over the years. This is photography only, right?
No.
Love it.
It's
hybrid shooter.
So basically, let's call 10 tips for a hybrid shooter. Essentially,
Nice.
It's nothing too specific. I'm not going to tell you what ISO to use or shutter speed.
Nah, boring.
This is more generic. There is some stuff like that, but number one, Michael.
Yes, let's jump into it.
So you'll get a feel for what I'm doing first, rather than technical things. But number one is move with confidence.
Yes,
Move with confidence. So it took me a while to really feel like, don't know why my hand was just floating. It took me a while to realize that I belonged at a basketball game. So it's kind of, it can be intimidating if you walk into a crowd full of people, big stadiums, big players, 7-footers just like in front of you, and you're like on the baseline, try not to like sprain their
cameras,
TV cameras, crew, famous people, quote unquote, that you've seen on TV. So it can take a while for you to feel like you're comfortable and you belong. But I feel like it's very important.
Oh, for sure. It's like fake it till you make it sort of thing. Like if it's your first game there, who cares? Act like you've been there before. And your point to this, I assume, is that it very much helps with your the results.
Well, I was going to say, if you move with confidence and you move to a position over there or interact with a person over there, your content is going to be so much better. And that might sound funny, but I think it's just more, you're going to be more confident in yourself.
Yeah, that's a great first one. I don't want to touch on if this alludes to another point, but does it also result in moving around different locations, or is that another point?
Yes,
Stay tuned.
That's funny because you said you haven't read it, but number 2 is pretty much, it covers that. So number 2, be creative and do it your own way, because it's so easy to get influenced by what I'm going to use. Mr. Smith is going to creep into all our videos because it's just someone I reference. Yeah, it's so easy to get influenced by what Mr. Smith over there is doing with their fancy camera, and if they're sitting on baseline, if they're whatever. But I think it's really important to kind of just do it your own way. If you want to go up in row 22 and just shoot over there, if you want to never go on the baseline, even though the baseline is where...
Nah, do that. Get off the baseline.
Yeah, Michael loves get off, like not being on the baseline, but I still do both. But my point here is just basically to do it your own way and not compare what they are doing over there. You can just shoot how you want to shoot.
I love it. And the reason why I say I don't like the baseline is for that reason, because everybody's doing the same thing, and I don't care how creative and how good a photographer you are. Like I'm not taking away from that, but if you're in the one spot the whole game, I just don't think you're going to get enough variety of shots for either yourself or a client. So me personally, like I relate to Darren's work. All my favorite shots of yours are not from the baseline. They're always from the side. They're from those angles that you talk about. They just look so much different, and just it always tells more of a story, because I feel like that baseline shot, we're so used to seeing it that it just feels like which a lot of them are the editorial photographers, but it just feels like that stock standard sort of view.
It's also, I'd like to do a test, like you say, my shots that are your favorite are not from the baseline, but I should like present some that make you guess whether it's baseline or not.
Well, I can tell where they're from.
Well, no, I reckon one of like the close-up ones. Sometimes it would be harder, but yeah. There are a few I know you would like that are from the baseline.
No, I'm thinking about one screaming one from JLA. I think that was from base. So this is where your point number 2 comes in. Just do what you want to do and make it your own, because of course there are going to be some amazing shots from the baseline. Don't take my word for how you should approach it.
It's just whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you want to do. And it's also the baseline argument is also like, how are you going to stand out as a like from all the three
Yeah.
people sitting on the baseline next to you. Like if you want to stand out, if you want to do it to make yourself happier when you're reviewing the photos, like you can literally just go up in the stands, try new angles, go from far back. You don't have to be as close as you think you should be a lot of the time as well.
It's a funny and very good point, because even if you're in Lightroom scrolling through your favorites and they're all from the baseline, you're not going to be that enthused about finding them.
Oh, there's another one close up and yeah.
Anyway, 3.
Oh, sorry, I thought we were up to 4 already. 3, yeah, true. Always. So this is more not super technical.
Don't jib the viewers. Say 10 tips and you only give us 9.
That's true. Stay tuned for next video for number 10. 3 is just always have a tight and wide shot. It's a simple one, but 2 lens. I always like to. My body is like the F. Oh
Yeah,
wait,
what do you use?
So early days, I was always like Sony A7, Sony A9, and I would literally use for photo and video.
Oh, more the lenses for the wide and tight.
Yeah, no, I'm just getting to that.
Oh, sorry.
So these days, I carry around an FX6. That's a mouthful. I carry around the FX6 for video and the Sony A9 for photo, but I'll always have a 24 to 70 mil.
Yep.
Which I was about to say which I prefer for video, but no, that's not true. I kind of interchange it between the two. And the bigger one for tighter shots and the zoom lens is 70 to 200.
Yep. And think about.
Sorry, I always question myself whether it's 80 to 200, but they both 70
to 200.
Great.
And think about those moments that you want the wide and tight. Like, I think general gameplay in that is always beautiful or wide, but then think about it and how you're going to use it, because a tight of a celebration is probably going to be much better, but then a wide would give you the crowd celebrating. So I think, yeah, it's a really handy point, because if you've got both in an ideal world, that's going to make your edit that much better.
So true, and that alludes to my point number 8. So you are really hitting on the money. We are in sync, even though you have not looked. But anyway, I'll stick with this. And I will say, one thing I did early days, Michael, all my shots were too tight. I had this. I had a fancy lens. It wasn't that fancy. It was just the 70 to 200. But I was like, this is gonna make everything look good. And a lot of the time, especially video, I was filming like a basketball, like layup or dunk or something. Got it, but it's just too tight. And I think there's something beauty in a wide shot, because it really makes you appreciate the fans around them, the atmosphere, the lighting, the stadium. Like everything about it it's almost so much more impactful than just a tight up of someone hanging on a ring, even though both are really cool.
No, I agree. I was exactly the same. And I will say the beauty about a wide shot, now that a lot's being posted vertical, is it actually looks tighter than it is if you're posting it to an Instagram feed.
That's a great point. Most of the time you would turn it into a 9x16, and sometimes you're just like, this is too...
Yeah, I felt like that was too wide,
Yeah. No, too tight.
Sorry, yes, yeah.
Listen up. Number 4, the post-review is the real review. You like that?
The edit makes the video. Is
essentially,
sort of
yeah. My thing to this day is you never really know how good your shots are until the post review, because sometimes you're in the moment. And this, I guess, it's not really a tip, but it's more like, actually, the tip is don't be so hard on yourself in the moment.
Yeah.
Sometimes your content is going to be a lot better when you get home. You've switched off. You're not sweaty. You've had a shower. You've had time to actually soak in the photos and videos, and you might be like, "There's been plenty." I still do this. I still do this to this day, Michael. Where you just like you look at a photo and you're like, I honestly can't remember like getting that or how good that is.
I was about to say, very often in my time shooting sport games, particularly photography, that my favorite photos are the ones I least expected to be my favorite.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Same with video as well. I don't remember that shot. Beauty.
Yeah. And the edit, you will always be able to, if you're a good editor and you've got experience editing, you might feel like you have a shock of filming a game, but you'll always be able to save something.
So true. And that's number 5, Michael. Let your editing shine.
Oh, yeah.
That's in bold.
Shine.
Just let your editing shine. No, the whole beam.
Dive into that. So, try different things. Make it yourself. Don't try to copy people. Where was your motivation with this?
My motivation with this is one. It can sort of make or break your content in a way.
Oh, for sure.
It's also a way for you to be you and for you to stand out. Like this is really the stage for you to stand out and sort of identify your brand.
Yeah.
Like what your photography and videography style actually is. It's in the edit. I feel like you've said this many times where editing is your favorite part of it all.
For photos,
yeah, specifically
photos. Yeah,
I just think this is a really it's really your chance to make the most of the content you shot. So a lot of the time, you were talking about this before. A lot of the time, you shoot a lot, and then you go through the stages of looking through your footage, choosing the best footage.
Yeah.
So, hey, maybe early days you don't know how to choose your footage that well, and you literally leave out some of your best shots because you think they're boring or you think they're whatever. And then as you eventually get better and better, you evolve, and you're like, hey, that's an awesome shot. I know which shots are gonna hit the target for my client, hit the target for
Yeah.
myself. Like, yeah, editing is super important and it's super fun.
This is my favorite tip of yours so far.
This one, let your
Because-
editing shine.
Yes, because I think it's really what makes the creator. Like,
Yes.
a
that's
lot
good
of
line.
people will be able to film a sport game, but you give the same vision, you give the same 20 clips to the three different editors, you'll be amazed at the different results and what people see in their editing that other editors might not see. Because
good
you
point.
can convey a whole different tone, emotion, storyline based on your edit, like whether you slow down clips, whether you use the wide angles, the slow angles, sorry, the slow scenes or the fast scenes, like fast cuts, action pace. Like, there's literally so much you can do. You could tell a story from one person not even playing basketball, but it's a basketball story. Like, it might be them
Yeah.
on the bench because they've fouled out.
Mm.
Or you might show the person fouling out, like another editor.
That's so true. It's the whole damn, I lost my train of thought.
Again, if you watch the other video,
No,
previous-
sorry. It's the whole the line that stood out to me there was anyone can pick up a camera, and it's true. But editing
Yeah.
is the phase that you can really stand out and show
Yeah.
you know what you're doing, because there's often times you think, hey, am I that special? Like, am I that, like
Yeah.
the camera is doing a lot of the work, and it is, but not everyone knows how to use it or edit that content like you do.
Yeah, and that's not you agree with this too. That's not to diminish or insult people that it's like not everybody can film a basketball game, but my point is that as you said, the cameras are so good that in reality a lot of people can.
Yeah, exactly right.
Love it.
Number 6, Michael. I like saying your name Michael because it comes across as more direct and it makes you feel involved. Michael, number 6 is the result is what matters. Don't sweat the gear. You know how
Yeah.
you know how we're always just like, people are like, what gear do you have? Like, do you have this? And then sometimes you use it as an excuse. I don't have this gear, so I cannot create that content. That my content is not as good because I don't have that lens. Sometimes, like, it can be true. Obviously, the gear helps, but the result is what matters. And I talk about that in the gear and also the technical details of your camera. You're going to meet people that are more knowledgeable than you. You're going to meet people that are more passionate about a setting on your Sony or whatever. But if your result is good, if your photo's good, your video is good, all that is quality, then they can't really say anything. Like, that's what matters, and that's what the client wants.
I 0.6 is a very good one. Challenging
New
0.5
favourite?
is maybe 0.5 is still my favorite, but I think it's so good because I feel like I resonate with this, and you probably resonate with this too, because we didn't grow up learning camera settings. It's something we're still learning, to be honest. And I never really appreciated people that were so caught up on what settings I'm using and what sort of whether everything's perfect by the book. But I was loving the results I was getting, I think. And it's sort of just like, well, I get it, but if I feel like I'm doing a really good job, the client's really happy, and I'm learning because I'm not that experienced back in the day, and I'm still developing, then what's the deal? Like, what's the problem here?
It's also it kind of like, my next point is similar to this as well, but it's like you may not be confident in your ability to use a camera or like some new camera, but don't let that stop you from starting. Like, you can just literally try it, see if the result is good. Hell, your photos might literally all be blurry. The shutter speed might be too low, and you might be like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'm guarantee you next time you'll Google something and make your photos better. So just start.
Yeah.
And that's where number 7 is. You basically have to start from scratch in terms of how many times has someone seen you in your Carlton world, in the footy, like AFL or basketball world. For me, they're like, how can I shoot pro basketball games, or how can I shoot sport games? Like, how many times has someone asked you that question? Go on.
Plenty of times. I actually wrote a LinkedIn post about this, I reckon.
Did you? Maybe it's where I stole it from. Not really. The question, my answer to how you can shoot a pro basketball game is just shoot a local basketball game. Like, you have to start somewhere. People are often just like, I want to shoot the biggest and best straight away, but it just doesn't work like that.
I get your point. Yeah, I've had DMs saying, how can I shoot for the NBL? I'm just like, have you ever shot basketball before? Like,
yeah, literally. Like, you have to showcase that you can shoot for the NBL. So go down to your local basketball, go shoot your friend playing one-on-one or whatever, and just post those photos, make them good, get to a point where if you do get to the NBL standard or whatever standard, that your content is actually good enough for you to keep going back and people to actually hire you to keep covering their games.
It's so valid. And can I say this? There are no magical answers, people. Like,
sometimes your first game might be a pro basketball game. I don't know, but I'm just saying.
No. I'm saying there's no magical answers in the sense of you can't just, in my books, you can't just jump to an NBL game straight away. If you're wondering how Darren over here is shooting NBL and other people you're seeing online are taking photos of professional sport, how do you think they got there? Like, I know it sounds really blunt, but however you think they got there is how they got there. They started doing some stuff for free. They got experience. They didn't start at the NBL. They started at their local stadium. They were shit. You're going to be shit at the start. There's no magical answers.
Holy,
it's like,
wow.
it's like, I think you use this analogy, which I really liked. You see this real buff guy or girl.
I was about to allude to fitness.
Yeah, a gym junkie. They're so fit. They're massive. You ask he or her like, how do you do that? Well, how do you think they did that? They put in the work and they went to the gym a lot.
Yeah. No, it's the answer is often what you think the answer is. Like you said, you're not just gonna wake up and do these dreams. You just do step by step. Whether that's shooting local basketball for 3 years before you get a break. Like it doesn't, and enjoy that process.
Yeah.
Like don't do it because it's just like I'm grinding and I'm only doing it because I want to get bigger. Just enjoy it.
And you can have that goal, but I agree, you got to enjoy it.
Motivation, great.
And where would the fun be if your first basketball game was the biggest league in Australia? You probably wouldn't appreciate that.
Yeah. Have you earned that kind of thing? And also, is your content going to be up a standard to where you're happy with it? Kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, number 8.
Number 8.
You alluded to something like this earlier, but think about what footage you will actually use. Think about what photos your client will post. Think about what photos you'll post. Think about what videos, video elements, whether it's a close-up of someone's face, anything like that. Think about what you'll actually use it for, because it's all fun and well to get some shiny, pretty shots. It's great, cool. But if you're not going to use them or they're not hitting a brief, there's probably not much point. So you have to have that balance of like, hey, I think this is good, but hey, what can my team or I use it for?
Yeah. So are you shooting for this to be used for like a cinematic teaser of the next game where you might go for those tight angles, or are you doing it as more of a generic highlight reel and game recap, whereas you might not, you strip it back, just do wide shots of highlight plays? Yeah, it's a really good point.
Exactly. It's just like you can't just shoot for the sake of shooting. Yeah. I mean, if you're there on your own basis, you kind of can. But still, think about what you want to post. Think about what players will reach out to you, because this happens all the time with, doesn't matter what division or level, players will reach out and be like, hey, did you have any photos of me today? I saw you at the game.
Yeah.
Do you have any video of me? It's like, I didn't take photos of that bench guy because I thought otherwise. There was a bigger player over there or whatever. Yeah. But you gotta. That's how you build connections as well. By the way, like you help everyone.
Yeah. So. Even if it's the next time you're at the game with that player that asked you, sort of make a mental note that, he asked me last time. Yeah. I'll just get some photos of him.
Focus on him. That's happened plenty of times to me. I'm like, that's right. He was keen. That's someone who actually cares about their content.
Yeah. Can I give you another example of, what was the title of this one?
Think about what footage you will actually use.
So think about what footage you want to actually use. I relate this to how many... I actually saw a good example of this. So say you're a photographer at a sport game or an event or whatever, and you're sending your client the best photos. Think about what photos they actually want, because this example that I saw the other week was an example of sending them too many photos. So if you give them hundreds of photos, but you know their brief was like emotional storytelling close-ups that they want to use in whatever it is, their media outlet, whatever, do you think they're going to be more impressed and pick the right ones if they see 20 photos or 200 photos? Because I sometimes think, and I fall into this trap without actually being told by clients, but I know I've definitely done this, where you just give them as much variety as you want. Whereas their brand is looking for a certain photo. What if they miss it because you've sent them too much?
It's a great point, because if you have a favorite and two of them absolutely nail a brief, and you can imagine it on their website or their socials or whatever, they're not going to think it the same as you, or they're not going to have the same time as you to do that. So if they miss it, then your work looks worse.
Yeah, and we've probably both been there. If something hasn't been posted of the photos or
what the
vision,
hell?
we're like, why haven't they posted that? That was my best shot. Well, you sent them 3,000 photos, Darren. They lost it.
It's a great point, because if you send 20 that absolutely nail the brief, they're going to be like, damn. And they're going to be happier searching through those photos be like, and posting them, rather than being like, 200.
Even just send them, maybe not one photo, but just be like this. You can send them that first. You're like, this, I think, is a real winner. I could imagine this on your website.
It shows initiative. It shows, someone said play life on offense. That's playing life on offense.
I like that, Darren.
Yeah, you're a defensive beast.
Go to number 9. Give me offense.
Yeah, fair enough. Number 9 is, in general, just like experiment.
So say it again, I cut you off.
In general, experiment. Just try new things. I don't come from a background as much as you in terms of the technical capabilities of a camera and what settings you should be using, but you are good at sort of saying like, hey, this is how you could do it, or this is how I've done it in the past, and then you try it. An example is S&Q. So what does it actually stand for?
Slow
Michael?
and quick.
Slow and quick. Quick. I just use it like just slow. That's
Yeah,
it.
well, I think you can change the setting to make it like a borderline time lapse, but that's honestly again transparency. I've never used it in that
Yeah.
way.
I think Michael mentioned S&Q to me, and I'm like, what is it? But now, actually, I need to use it for my FX6. But my A7, I used to use it a lot. It's basically just like slow motion for me. So, again, think about what you think, what footage you will actually use. If you have a slow motion of some dude just walking towards your camera, some lady just, I don't know, walking across the court in slow motion, that is going to be really good for a cinematic ad, a dramatic social media clip with her voice behind it, with a voiceover. Like that type of stuff, S&Q is really your friend. That's
It's
what I've
shooting
got
with
written here.
Yeah, I love it. S&Q, if you haven't used it, start using it just to test it out. It's shooting with purpose. That's what it comes down to.
Yes, that's a good tagline. It's just shooting with purpose and experiment. I like the idea of experimenting because early days you don't have to get comfortable with the camera, get comfortable with the most basic photography settings. But as you advance, you probably want to challenge yourself and be like, hey, what does this button do on the top here?
And this relates really well to shooting local basketball games for free. What better place to have a free canvas of I'm going to try this mode. If it stuffs up,
Doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Yeah,
Nothing happens.
ideally, I mean, not ideally. You're most likely not getting paid to be there.
Yeah.
You're there for yourself. You're there to cover the athletes.
Same with frame rates. Like we can do a whole different
Yes.
video or sort of beginner videography stuff, but say you've got 25 frames, 50 frames per second, and 100 frames. All three of them give you different results, and all three of them, if you're really dialing into shooting with purpose, should be used on different occasions during particularly a sport game. So you need to think about how you're actually filming something.
That's so true. And once again, that's something you've sort of taught me over the journey. Like I used to, I honestly don't even know what I started on in terms of frame rates. But then Michael was kind of just like, no, this is like the basic settings for like the double, the shutter or whatever.
But it's funny, like, and you say I came from more of a background of the video side. That was literally just doing what I've done with you over the years, but someone else did for me. So Jono and people at my old job, we both didn't study any of this. So I think for even in our example, now if you see a young videographer come up, I'm very confident that you would do the same for them because you've been through how you've learned it. So you just pass it on because we didn't come from the technical side of things. So you need to just sort of experiment yourself, but also lean on others to teach you.
Yeah, so true, so true. Number 10, it's a simple one, but just enjoy yourself while you're doing it because there are so many times all you do at a pro basketball game is sort of look through your camera lens. Like, take some time to just look up from the camera and actually enjoy what you're witnessing because I love my basketball, you love your basketball, and it's actually really cool just to be in the environment, in that atmosphere with all the fans, all the bright lights, the biggest athletes in your country, wherever you are. It's a really cool place to be, and I think you'll see content in a different light, in a different way once you kind of look up from that camera and be like, hey, this is awesome. Like, I'm going to document this much better now.
That's very good perspective because I think we all forget how cool it is we've got the best seats in the house. And we can roam anywhere in the stadium.
Yeah, and I think you're too switched on in terms of like, I gotta capture this, oh, this is happening, this is happening. But then you just like kind of exhaust yourself and you kind of just like, it's the quality versus quantity. Cool, you're gonna have like 5,000 images of, I don't know, but not so good stuff, but you can focus on the actual good things about it.
But also, and something that I've learned is looking up from the camera, say you're like watching the game, you will 100% see things you didn't before. So you might look up and be like, I didn't realize there was a really cool light there. I'll get that in a photo. Like it will help your content. So take a break from the screen and actually take in your environment. It's a very good tip.
I think that's spot on. You might notice a banner up in the rafters of some legend or something, just something that you're not gonna identify if you're just always on your camera, always looking directly sort of in front of you. You'll see a coaches to your side. You'll see someone in the bench that's about to make their debut and stuff of that nature. Like you'll get the goods if
a fan going nuts to your left that you had or behind you or something.
And you'll be so glad that you did. So they're 10 tips. Do you have a favorite? Do you remember what your favorite was? Because you identified 2.
All of 5 and 6. 5 and 6, the middle of them. I enjoyed them. The editing. Let your editing shine, and 6 was you want me to remember all of them?
Yeah.
No, I did like 5. Let your editing shine, and
he's gone off the 6.
No, what did I like? The result is what matters. Yeah, the 5 and 6. But I would like to know what people's favorite, what resonates the most.
That's true. And like I think, like I said at the start of this is something that we've always discussed and we still discuss to this day. So it's kind of cool to bounce it off each other and let us know what you think. Let us know what tips and tricks or what you want to know about shooting a pro basketball game because it's really cool. I definitely take it for granted now. that I've done it a fair bit, but I still get excited to go. It's a very cool thing. So let us know your tips and tricks, and just shoot basketball. It's as simple as that. Local. The worst. It could be Michael playing basketball. Just shoot photos and prove.
Yeah, if you want.
Shoot the content and prove you can do it before you get into professional sports.